Today's topic is showing the collect count basically as a percentage. But we have some challenges here because this is the first time we're trying to draw some text on the screen. And what makes it challenging is that you have to make all the text relative to the top left corner of the current camera for the first viewport. So there's this concept of views, there's this concept of viewports, and then there's this concepts of cameras. And a lot of these things are similar to the old GameMaker, but not the same. So it makes it very confusing. So hopefully I can help clear up some of that confusion today. First thing we need to do is, well, we want the score and all the other kind of text that we're going to draw on the screen to be the last thing drawn, or we want that to be in front of everything else, including the tile layer. So we have to add a new layer to our game. So if you see here, I've added a new score layer to our game. The question is, how do you add a new layer? This is going to be an instance layer, and so I just clicked on that. It gives you a default name. What you have to do is right click on it and say rename, and I would just call it score. So now this game has 5 layers, which is really quite interesting. So that's the first step, is we have to create a new layer for our text. Next thing after that is let me go back here. Well, here we're on the score layer. Let's go back to our resources. Now I noticed that we've put this object in the wrong place. There's a subcategory called icons, and notice that the sprite for the collect object is in icons, and right now we have it here in miscellaneous. So I'm going to create another group here just to be consistent. I don't want to create a new object. Let me get rid of that. I want to create a new group, and that would be here. So I right click and I say create or add group, and we're going to call this group icons, capitalized. So icons. All right. And inside the icons group, we're going to drag in our collection count object. We'll put that in icons. So now it matches what's up here. So if I open up that object, you'll see that I've added a draw event, but I've also made some changes to our create event. In order to get these icons to draw in front of everything else, you have to put it on the right layer. So what was in there before was this. Let me scooch this over so we can actually see it. And so all this stuff was already there. We did that when we set up the collect count object. But I added this last little snippet of code as an execute code. That's one of these. I changed the layer, or I set the layer for the collect count object to the score layer. So there's a instance variable that every object in GameMaker has called layer, and you can reset that to whichever layer you like. So we're no longer manually setting depth anymore. We're relying on the layer to tell us what depth to draw stuff. So now we're going to say this object, the collect count object, is going to be on the score layer, and then therefore it's going to be drawn in front of everything else. So you got to make that change to the create event, and then it gets even more interesting. When I say interesting, I mean difficult to code. We have to look at the draw event. What did I change in the draw event? Well, the draw event wasn't there before, I guess. So this is all code that I added. And this was quite a challenge as well, because GameMaker has really changed how they go about drawing things anymore. They have this new concept of a camera that would equate to the old view in Old Game Maker. Now it's called a camera. What's made it even more confusing is they have another thing called the view that's not equivalent to the view in the Old Game Maker, so it makes it quite challenging. So anyway, what I do here, I just say in English. I probably should have commented this, but I guess I'm commenting it now. First thing you do is you go and get the camera for view 0. Or if you look down here in the room, you can see we have these viewports. I guess that's viewport 0 right there. So we pass in the viewport number 0, and we're going to get this camera. Okay, so that's the camera in the viewport. This returns a camera ID, so we store that in my camera. That's the name I came up with. And then I ask the camera to get its X and Y coordinate. That would be the top left corner of the view, the view that the camera is seeing. If you look out the camera, that's the coordinate, and that's in the global coordinate space. So I called that one cam X for X and cam Y for Y. Now everything we're going to draw on this score layer is going to be dependent on this cam X and cam Y, because remember, as the player moves around, or Zool moves around, the camera follows Zool. So this X and Y are going to change. They're not a fixed position. Although on the screen it will look like the score is not moving around, it's actually moving through the room along with Zool, or at least along with the camera. Sometimes when Zool gets to the edge of the room, the camera stops following him because you don't want to show the outside of the room. So it keeps in line with the camera. What the program is doing here is trying to print out the percentage of candies that Zool has picked up. And so this code is interesting because we're taking a number and we're formatting it into a string, and then once we have it into a string, then we parse it out number by number, digit by digit, and then we go and we find that digit in our sprites as a frame in our digit sprite, and then we put that digit up on the screen. Now percentages can go from 0% all the way up to 100%. So we assume it's going to be a 2-digit percent, but if they happen to collect 100% of the candies, then there's going to be 3 digits in there. So we just assume 2, and then if the collect percentage is 100, then we expand it out to 3 digits. Here we're formatting the string, so we say, well, how big do we want the string to be? So we get the collect percentage and we turn it into a string, and we turn that string, or we store that string into a variable called text string. Notice I'm using the var keywords. These are all local variables. If I didn't put the var keyword there, then we would have these variables attached to the object, and really they only belong locally to this one draw method. So it's good practice not to pollute the object's instance variables with local variables that you're using in functions like these. So now we have the text string. It's just a text representation of the number starting out at 0, 0, and then we replace, if there's any spaces in there, what we do is, just being careful, we replace all the spaces with zeros. In the case where it is 0%, it'll have a space and a 0, and we want both of them to be 0, so we just go through the string and replace all the spaces with 0 and store that in text string. There's a gotcha right here. Text replace all used to take this string and place the thing inside the string. It doesn't do that anymore. It sends a string out, and so I just assign it back to itself, so we get the new string where the old string used to be. So anyway, that one took me quite a while to figure out why it was crashing there, because they really changed what this. It was the same parameters, same function call, completely different functionality. Very difficult. I threw a debug message in there just to help me out, so I'm going to take that out now because I've debugged it. I was trying to see what was going on. Those are really handy too when you're having a problem. Just throw in a debug string and see what the variable is at that point. Here's the special secret equation to put the percent icon in the right place. It's just the percent sign basically. It looks like I had already created that because it is over here. There's a little percent sign. So you say draw sprite -1 because it doesn't have any frames, and then it's all relative to cam X and cam Y. So here's cam X plus 56 plus 16 times digit. So you're drawing these numbers one digit at a time, and they're evidently 16 pixels wide. And then for cam Y, they're always going to be the same vertical, or the same vertical position, but not horizontal position. So we draw that, and that's just putting the percent sign in there. So all that just for the percent sign. I guess this part here. We know where we need to draw it. And then here, depending on the number of digits, sometimes it's 2 digits because we have 0, 0 as our first one, or sometimes it's 3 digits if it's 100. But we go through and we grab the digit now out of the string, so we're going backwards now. We get the digit. We convert the digit to a real number. So now it becomes a number again. And we use that number to index into the frames of the digit sprite, and that gives it the picture for that digit, which is kind of neat. So so this is the equations for doing that, and this is to get it located correctly on the screen. For this is the first and second and sometimes third digits. Again, they're all on 280 as the vertical position, but the horizontal position is scooching to the right. Notice we're starting at 40 plus 16 times digit. So I guess the percent sign is after the digits. Okay, so this comes after the digits because it's at 56. This is at 40. So we get a number and then the percent sign. And then each time we go around this loop, this repeat loop, we subtract 1 from digit, and that allows us to move to the next digit. We seem to be doing this in backwards order, so we do the rightmost digit first, then the leftmost, and then if there's a third one, then the one left of that. What does that look like on the screen? Let me save this and run it. You'll notice a couple things. Here's our game. Kind of hard to see because all the candies and stuff, but you can see the percentages here. Here's the 2-digit. Move my arrow there. So you can see it now. There's the little candy thing. So it's telling you the candy percentage that you collected is at 0% because I haven't collected any candies yet. So I'm going to go find some candies over here. So I got the first candy. I have 6 candies. That gives me 17% of the candies. Or maybe that's a 9. I think that's a 7. It's a 3. Kind of funky numbers. 50%. Yeah, we got half of them. So the percentage is working out. 83. And notice when we get to 83, the collect object turns into a little arrow. And it's trying to tell us where the exit is now because we've gone over 75%. Now the exit is visible. So now we got 100% of the candies, and oh, good. And we're able to destroy monsters, which is nice. So there's our exit, and I can jump from here up into the exit. And I added that just recently. So what else do you need to do for this? There was one other gotcha is right here in the score, or actually the digits. Let's see, where are those? Yeah, the digits. I noticed that the digits weren't aligned correctly. It was using top left, and for these digits, the way they're placed on the screen, they're using middle center for some reason. So make sure to change the origin to middle center for your digits. Next thing's coming up. We got to add lives, and we have to also add the score itself. We don't have a score yet. There's also a timer that we're probably not going to do, but at least for now. But we'll try to get score and lives in the next video. All right, thanks.